He's a dummy. And you was dick riding him, thinking me and Luce was on some bullshit, thinking 600 was on some bullshit.
I just have to try to represent the other side of the argument so it's not totally one-sided. Honestly, I can barely defend him. I don't know.
People is assuming that I'm saying Big U has something to do with Nipsey getting killed. That's not what it is.
Yeah, I feel like you tried to like backpedal a little bit.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie, they killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it.
Welcome back to Fame Flux, where the truth behind fame gets exposed. A former Crip affiliate has come forward, shedding light on what many in street circles have long suspected. Big U may have played a major role in the setup that led to Nipsey Hussle's death. And according to this insider, it wasn't about money or power. It was driven by jealousy. As Nipsey's name began carrying more weight and influence, Big U's own stature reportedly began to fade. And that shift sparked deep resentment. Currently held in custody with RICO charges piling up, Big U now finds himself under a renewed spotlight. The federal government is reportedly revisiting the entire Nipsey Hussle case, possibly tying it to broader criminal activity. And this information isn't being pulled from speculative sources. It's coming from individuals with close ties to the situation, insiders with first-hand experience in the environment. Let's go back to 2009, when Big U and Nipsey signed a decade-long contract. This wasn't just paperwork. It allegedly gave Big U control over all aspects of Nipsey's career, from music to public image. The timeline is chilling. That contract expired in 2019, the same year Nipsey was tragically killed.
3 years after Nipsey Hussle's tragic death, a jury has found his accused killer, Eric Holder Jr., guilty of first-degree murder. Holder was also convicted for attempted voluntary manslaughter and possession of a firearm. He faces life in prison and is scheduled to be sentenced in September. Following the jury's decision, Holder's attorney Aaron Jansen tells E! News in a statement, "I am deeply disappointed in the first-degree murder verdict. It was always going to be tough, given the high-profile circumstances."
Insiders now claim that once Nipsey began building his brand independently, earning respect across the city, and forming business partnerships outside the old structure, friction started to build. He wasn't playing the subordinate anymore. He had grown into a leader, and that shift allegedly unsettled Big U. Tensions escalated far beyond the studio or boardroom, into situations that reached the street. Instead of elevating Nipsey's rise, Big U allegedly made the choice to halt it. Before Nipsey could fully soar, Loose Cannon made a revelation that shook the streets. Big U had called him, claiming Nipsey was already dead. The issue? Nipsey was still alive at the time of the call. Loose Cannon remembers Big U sounding calm, like someone delivering final news before the event had even occurred. Suspicious, Loose Cannon immediately reached out to Nipsey to confirm. They spoke. Nipsey was fine, alive and well. But then, only 30 minutes later, Nipsey was fatally shot. The timing was too exact, too aligned to be brushed off as chance. It was calculated, and according to many in the streets, that call may have exposed too much, possibly Big U's critical mistake. For Big U to declare Nipsey's death before it happened, only for it to follow shortly after, raised red flags
surrounding the case. We are grateful that the jury agreed with us in part that the case was overcharged and acquitted Mr. Holder Jr. of 2 attempted murder charges. Hussle was shot in front of his LA clothing store The Marathon in March 2019. The rapper died from multiple gunshot wounds in the head and torso. He was 33 years old. In a statement released by LAPD at the time, authorities alleged the suspect, later identified as Holder, approached Hussle and 2 other men, fired numerous shots, and then fled the scene in a vehicle. Throughout his music career, Hussle dropped numerous mixtapes.
It looked less like coincidence and more like a poorly hidden operation. Even Charleston White entered the discussion, suggesting Eric Holder didn't act alone. While the world knows Holder as the convicted shooter, Charleston insists this was a broader conspiracy, with Holder serving as the fall guy. The claim? A well-organized hit controlled from the background by individuals with deeper influence, and Big U's name keeps surfacing. Street insiders have echoed this idea for years, whispering that the entire situation was too fast, too perfect, and entirely too orchestrated. The conflict between Nipsey and Big U had become very public. Nipsey aired out Big U in a diss track, exposing tensions for all to hear. That public shot bruised Big U's pride. Instead of walking away, Big U responded aggressively, confiscating studio equipment he once helped Nipsey access. A move that screamed retaliation. But the pride didn't stop there. Big U allegedly demanded they settle it face to face. And since he wasn't a rapper, he reportedly challenged Nipsey to fight. Loose Cannon confirmed it escalated quickly,
culminating with his one and only album, Victory Lap, released in 2018. After his death, he won 2 posthumous awards at the 2020 Grammys. He has 2 children, daughter Imani, as well as son Cross, whom he shared with longtime partner Lauren London.
Big U's crew reportedly rolled up to Nipsey's location, prepared to resolve things the only way they knew, through street confrontation. Black Sam understood the stakes clearly. He saw the street politics and understood the dangers involved. When a questionable situation arose, Sam didn't hesitate. He stepped in and firmly stopped it. He made sure Nipsey didn't leave with certain individuals, unsure of what might happen. That decisive action may have saved Nipsey's life that day, but it only delayed what was coming down the line. This moment connects to another critical piece of the puzzle, Stephen "Fats" Donaldson. He wasn't just part of Nipsey's crew, he was considered family, loyal, dependable, and always ready to stand with Nipsey in every situation. During the escalating tension between Nipsey and Big U, Fats played a key role. When Big U allegedly approached in a hostile manner, Fats didn't back down. He confronted the situation head-on and reportedly landed a punch on Big U. Considering Big U's feared reputation in the streets, that move was daring and sent a clear message. Nipsey's people weren't going to be intimidated or silenced easily. It also highlighted just how loyal and protective Nipsey's circle had become over the years. But then, something alarming happened. Not long after that physical altercation, Fats was suddenly killed. His death stunned the community, and street talk quickly picked up. People began to speculate. Was this retaliation? A quiet move to settle a score after being publicly challenged? The timeline didn't sit right. The confrontation, the tension, the fight, and then the sudden loss of one of Nipsey's closest allies. It sparked serious rumors and caused many to start pointing directly at Big U, suggesting the possibility of revenge being carried out behind closed doors. Then came a moment that shook many across Los Angeles. After Nipsey was gunned down and tributes poured in from around the globe, Big U and his crew appeared on Instagram Live. What should have been a somber, reflective moment became something entirely different. Instead of mourning or showing respect, they were laughing on camera. No acknowledgement of the gravity of the loss, no tribute, no shared memories. Just hours after the city lost one of its most respected voices, what the public witnessed left them shocked. Many interpreted the behavior as cold, dismissive, and deeply telling. Viewers who watched the live stream were left stunned and disturbed. Many described the vibe as disrespectful, as if the group was mocking Nipsey's death rather than grieving. They were reportedly laughing, smirking, and scrolling through a flood of RIP comments like it was some twisted inside joke. The timing made it worse. This wasn't days later. This was mere hours after Nipsey's passing. The reaction didn't feel like shock or mourning. It came across as detached.
Thought continues. I believe this happened just a couple months after Nipsey passed in 2019. Mm-hmm. All this happens, so, a lot of people, they were mad at you. I don't think they understood or knew what was going on. Can you kind of break down that whole situation?
A lot of people are still mad to this day about me trademarking the marathon. And this is actually the first time I've ever spoken about it publicly. And I did. I applied for the trademark.
Even calculated. And for many in the community, it immediately raised red flags. People began speaking aloud what had only circulated in hushed tones. The stream had a chilling energy, the kind of vibe that felt like they already knew what was going to happen. That reaction doesn't sit well when someone has just been taken down in broad daylight in the very community they tried to uplift. But Nipsey's murder wasn't the only issue Loose Cannon addressed. He went further, saying Big U had a long-running pattern of betrayal. According to Loose, Big U allegedly set up members of his own circle. He'd send them out on missions, sometimes robberies, sometimes home invasions, and then something strange would happen. The people targeted would know exactly where to go for revenge. They'd show up, fully informed, hitting back fast and hard. That doesn't just raise questions, that screams setup. Loose Cannon also claimed that Big U was moving illegal firearms, selling weapons to his own affiliates. Guns that were either dirty, flagged, or traceable. The price? Around $350 per weapon, shockingly low. But here's the most damning part. Once those sales went down, Loose alleges Big U would tip off the authorities, flipping the buyers to the feds. It created a double game. Profit on the front end from the sale, and snitch points on the back end for building favor with law enforcement. This was more than criminal behavior. It was a betrayal of trust within his own circle, an exploitation of loyalty, and an operation that put lives at risk. And according to sources close to the situation, these alleged setups didn't just target outsiders.
Just because I'm not in the streets as a lifestyle, I mean, it's here on my neck. That's what it says here, street life. So I was very much a part of the streets. But just because it's not my everyday lifestyle, I'm still connected in some ways. And what happened was when Nipsey died, they were trying to extort his estate in the streets, and it was being talked about, and I got wind of it. So, like I said, I'm not in the street, and I'm not, on the violent tip and that kind of, so I had to sit back, woosah, collect my thoughts, and figure.
The next revelations make that betrayal even deeper. He allegedly set Nipsey Hussle up using the same exact strategy. Nipsey once told a story about being on probation when authorities raided his property. During the raid, police discovered a shotgun, registered, but not under Nipsey's name. Nipsey made it clear in interviews that firearm wasn't his. Yet the charge stuck, and it left fans wondering, was this just a coincidence or something far more calculated? As more details emerge, people are convinced this wasn't random at all. They believe Big U may have been involved, either tipping off the authorities or engineering the setup entirely to get Nipsey caught up. When considering Big U's alleged track record, selling traceable firearms and flipping information to law enforcement, it all starts to form a disturbing pattern. There's a difference between street tension and using law enforcement as a tool. That level of betrayal crosses every known line. Enter Whack 100, who's been speaking up publicly for years, saying that something never added up. He went on record claiming Big U was not just involved, he was working as an informant. Whack pointed to one specific moment, the time Big U and Black Sam were both arrested. According to Whack, only Black Sam remained behind bars, while Big U walked away clean. That detail has puzzled people ever since. How does someone so deeply connected to serious street activity and a known criminal network simply walk away from federal custody? Unless there was a deal already in place? Unless he had been cooperating, supplying intel, or possibly even orchestrating actions behind the scenes with legal protection. Whack didn't hold back. He labeled Big U as a long-term plant, someone who traded loyalty for freedom and sacrificed his circle in the process to shield himself from consequences. The implications of those claims shake the foundation of street loyalty. And if true, they open a much darker chapter in Nipsey's story. After all the conflict, backdoor plays, and rising body count, Big U's name finally hit federal radar in a way that couldn't be ignored or dodged. Word broke that Big U had turned himself in just hours after a sealed RICO indictment was issued, targeting several figures across the LA street scene.
what are you going to do to save this boy's estate? What are you going to do? I had to do something about it. I heard them talking about, So I said, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trademark it, and I'll tie it up legitimately in the trademark office, and nobody can do nothing with the marathon. His Black Sam couldn't even do anything with the marathon because I tied it up. And although I did try to initially get in touch with his sister, I did send her a message through her DM, but they're mourning Nipsey's death. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really expect that she would call me back to talk about a message that I left in her DM, and she used to spend a lot of time at my house. She's friends with my youngest son. So yeah, I did. I trademarked it. They were trying to extort it. Big U wanted it, and Suge.
Do you have any idea what they were going to do with it?
Whatever they thought they could do with it. I would get plenty of calls from Suge.
For those unfamiliar, a RICO case isn't minor. It's the type of legal move that signals serious trouble. When federal agents build a RICO indictment, they're not guessing. They've spent years collecting wiretap evidence, flipping informants, mapping out connections, and building a timeline of organized criminal activity. And according to sources, Big U sits squarely at the center of it. Even more shocking, once Big U surrendered, the streets lit up with speculation. People started talking. Reports say individuals in his circle began cooperating, cutting deals and handing over names. What once felt like rumor suddenly became detailed accusations, specific enough to include hidden bodies, actual grave sites that only Big U and a handful of trusted individuals reportedly knew about. But now, under pressure from the feds, those individuals appear to be cracking, either to reduce their own sentences or to avoid full prosecution. As those statements stack up, investigators are connecting Big U to other high-profile incidents, including the 2022 killing of PNB Rock. PNB Rock was ambushed in broad daylight while having lunch at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in South Los Angeles on September 12, 2022. A masked gunman entered the restaurant, reportedly attempting a robbery, before shooting PNB Rock multiple times in front of diners and staff. The official story says Freddie Lee Trone sent his teenage son to commit the robbery and that the son pulled the trigger. Authorities charged both Trone and his son, calling it a targeted robbery gone violent. But within street circles, another version of events quickly surfaced, one that paints a much different and darker picture. Nipsey Hussle wasn't just taken out by some random enemy on the block. This was something more deliberate. A calculated hit with roots that ran deeper than many wanted to admit. The source? A betrayal from someone once trusted, someone close, someone respected. The alleged motive wasn't money or territory, it was jealousy, pure and corrosive. Nipsey's rise became too bright, his reach too wide, his name heavier than Big U's ever was. And that bruised ego, according to insiders, might have been enough to ignite everything. Now the streets are wide awake. Fans across the country are tuned in, and the truth, no matter how deeply buried, is starting to surface. More footage, more statements, more witnesses. It's all beginning to point toward a setup hidden in plain sight. Slowly, the pieces are falling into place. And while courtroom convictions may still be a long way off, the culture already knows what the street's been whispering for years. Nipsey's light couldn't be dimmed, not by threats, not by force. His legacy continues to inspire, building even as those who may have moved against him find their own legacies under fire. And for those who helped cover it up or stood silent, justice has a long memory. The reckoning may be slow, but it's coming. Now let's open this up to everyone tuned in right now. Do you believe Big U truly played a role in setting Nipsey up from the beginning? With all the new revelations, is this finally the moment the feds get it right? And most importantly, what will it take to ensure Nipsey Hussle receives the full justice his legacy demands? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Every opinion matters right now. And if you've made it to the end, hit that like button to help push this conversation further. And don't forget, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next.